Hi, I'm Breezy Samuels and welcome back to another episode of Soul Stirring Astrology, where I give you my textured take on the world of astrology. And before I get into this full moon in Gemini on December the 14th, I have a gift for one of you. And that is, I'm offering one of you a free full reading with me if you are able to correctly guess what's my rising sign and my sun sign. So we're having a little bit of a Christmas competition here. Whoever is the first person to guess both my rising sign and my sun sign will win a free reading with me. So we can look at your chart and give you a sense of what's coming up for you in 2017. So if you're interested in winning a free reading with me, just describe or just state what my rising and sun signs are. Okay. Moving into the forecast this week in terms of this full moon in Gemini that's taking place on December the 14th. So it's quite timely because it's the last full moon for the year of 2016. We're obviously coming to the end of the calendar year, and it's the time when you naturally start reflecting back and then looking forward to planning your resolutions or determinations for the coming year. And this full moon gives you the opportunity to start reflecting on what has taken place over this last year, and in particularly around relationships and the diversity that exists or existed within your relationships. Because what you may have found as you cast your eye over the past year is that some relationships may have come to an end. That could be friendships or your intimate relationships or business arrangements, any type of relationships come into focus. And so the key thing here is that not to fill the void of being very Geminian, wanting to kind of scatter your energies and plug that hole. The reflection is really about how did those relationships or those individuals actually enable you to grow intellectually, to deepen your knowledge, to deepen your thinking. That really leads you to tapping and fulfilling your inner needs. Because we're dealing with the moon here, it's about how did those relationships or how did those people really and truly nourish your inner child, your inner self, meeting your real needs. Because if you weren't nourished, what you may have done and what you may continue to do is, as I say, try to plug the hole or rationalize away your feelings as if they don't really matter. So you flatten them or you suppress them in some way, and then you project onto other people, and then you start living out other people's needs, other people's ideals, and not really dealing with yourself. So this full moon gives you this wonderful opportunity to reground yourself, to reconnect yourself. And what can enable you to do this is by pulling on the sun's energy. And the sun is forming a conjunction with Saturn in Sagittarius. And Saturn, as I mentioned last week, is trining Uranus and is going to be the overarching aspect for 2017. Now this is very powerful because the sun's relationship with Saturn and Uranus is about inviting you to take that philosophical and spiritual journey towards understanding what your real needs are, towards identifying how you can begin to self-nurture, self-nourish. And essentially, this full moon is pointing you towards how can you begin reparenting yourself in terms of dealing with your inner world, your inner child, those deeply held beliefs that you have, those feelings that you have. What is it that makes you feel nurtured and fulfilled? And so this full moon gives you the chance to do that, which is great because what it also enables you to do is to reflect back, and you can use Mercury, and Mercury is conjuncting Pluto. And so this is an opportunity for you to be thinking deeply around those needs and then coming up with some plan of action that's going to enable you to move forward. And so therefore we're dealing with Pluto and we're dealing with Mercury, so it's about the power of your mind, using your imagination and using that imagination to create the roadmap that's going to lead you on this philosophical or spiritual journey as identified by the Sun, Saturn and Uranus. And don't forget that both Uranus and Saturn are the co-rulers of Aquarius. And so we've got this three-pronged approach because we've got Uranus in Aries, so that's a cardinal sign, so that's the impetus for you to take action. We have Saturn in Sagittarius with the Sun in Sagittarius, and so that's about mutability, being flexible, knowing how and when to pivot. And then we've got Aquarius, and so here Aquarius is the fixed element. And the invitation here is about using your higher mind to guide you. So instead of looking to other people or looking to the external world to provide you with this nourishment, it's about the deep relationship that you're able to cultivate with your higher mind, because therein lies your golden nuggets, your source, your secret source to what makes you tick. Alongside this Sun, Saturn, Uranus, and then we've got Mercury and Pluto, we also have Mars, which is trining Jupiter. And so once Mercury goes direct again, because 4 days after the full moon it goes retrograde, it then goes direct on the 7th of January. And so therefore you can start taking action. You can then, alongside your plans, think about, well, what type of actions can you take? And that's where Mars and Jupiter come in. So Mars is going to give you the elbow grease, so to speak, so you can start executing on your plans. But they are global plans, they are expansive plans, they are juicy plans, they are plans that really excite you, because we've got Jupiter here. Within all of this planning and determining this liberation that you're going through, you can also take risks. And the risk, it's about your confidence in the risk that you're going to take. And the confidence comes from Jupiter, but it also comes from Saturn. As I mentioned in the last episode, Saturn has done its journey through Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto. And so you've learned some very powerful lessons. And so you are now imbued with wisdom. And it's about taking the risks and being confident that you're taking risks that you've thought about, that you're comfortable with, and actually could really pay dividends to you. So you've got this liberation, which is a sub-theme for 2017. And essentially what you're doing and what this full moon kicks off, it's moving you towards waving goodbye to coulda, woulda, shoulda, gonna. You know, you could have done it, you would have done it, you should have done it, and you're gonna do it. 2017 isn't about that. 2017 is about liberation. And what's also going to aid you in 2017 is the North Node moves into Leo, and that's in May 2017, which means that the spotlight is focused exclusively on your needs, on all of us. But it's about how do each and every one of us take center stage in our lives and begin to nourish the inner you. Because once the inner you is completely nourished in a mature way that takes account of your inner child and makes you feel congruent, then you will emanate that, you will emit that into the world, and your world will begin to transform. So very powerful time, really centered around what your needs are, how you're nourished, how you nourish yourself, and then in the diversity of your relationships, how do your relationships add another layer of fulfillment and nourishment in your life. So that's it. That brings me to the end of this episode, which brings me to the quote of the day, and it's by Walter Lipmann. And what he said is, there is many a time I've wanted to stop talking to find out what it is I truly believe. And so we're dealing with the moon, we're dealing with emotions, and we've got Mercury, which is going retrograde. So it's very much how you pull into yourself, tune into yourself to understand, connect, and commit to what it is that you believe. And it brings me to the question of the day, which is, how do you scatter your energies when your needs are not met. So put your answers and comments in the comment box below, and don't forget you have until December the 14th to answer the question, what is my rising sign and my sun sign? And the first person who is able to answer that correctly will win a free reading with me, which I look forward to delivering to you. And also, if you're interested in having a paid reading with me, drop me an email at bybreensamuels@googlemail.com. Also, that will be in the comment box below, and have a wonderful time tuning in to what truly nourishes you. Until then, I will see you again on the next episode.